Hi there, VC. It's Steve Whitty here. It's Sunday morning. I've just come back in from the gym. Hope everybody is well, and the last couple of weeks have been good to you. I apologise for not doing a video last week. I was a bit busy last week. I was expecting a delivery and didn't know when it was coming, so I thought I won't start, and it came a bit late, and I had other things to do. So sort of like life took over. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a miss. So I'm going to do a video today. It's another recent listens video, number 17 in this series, where I'm going to show, I think it's 10 or 11 albums that I've listened to recently, and I hope that you enjoy what I'll show. So, without further ado, first one up, and this is an artist that I've always been meaning to try and get. I've got a couple of his albums, but it's such as his body of work that it's very difficult to sort of like know where to dip your toe, so to speak. And the artist I'm talking is Frank Zappa, and this is his Hot Rats album, and it's probably I'm not sure if it's his most accessible album, but it's certainly I'm not it's I'm not really sure if he's best known of his solo albums. I think it was released in 1969. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a reissue copy, German reissue, and I suppose Peaches and Regalia is his best known track off here. There's the gatefold there. I think that's his wife Gail that's on the cover. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, this is German. On the Reprise label. And I've quite enjoyed listening to this. I want to get more into Zappa, but again, it's like knowing where to dip your toe, go into. There are certain tracks I like. I've got the Strictly Confidential CD, best of CD. But obviously, I've just got to be, I know some of it can be quite way out, and maybe might just go over my head a little bit. But I was pleased to pick that up and listen to it. And as I said, it's a really good album. Classic album, which I think is 50 years old this year. It's the band's second self-titled album. It's, to me, I think this is probably where Americana sort of kicks in. It sort of carries along from music from the Big Pink, but this is just absolutely stonking album. Some great tunes on here: Rag Mama Rag, The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, Up on Crickle Creek, Rocking Chair, King Harvest Has Surely Come. It sort of evokes old America, particularly the track The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down. I remember watching the classic albums program about this album, where Robbie Robertson mentioned that Le'Veon Helm, who was from the South, said he was always told that the South would rise again. And I suppose I'm not sure if it's a sort of a paying homage to the South there. It is absolutely wonderful album. It's a must-have in any collection. I think if you haven't got it, it's worth seeking out. It's just absolutely wonderful. Some more classic album. Well, this is an upgrade. This is Deep Purple in rock. I'd got a Fame reissue, but I hadn't got an original copy on the Harvest with get it right. Until how old it is there. Gatefold cover. Not in the greatest nick, but it was an upgrade, and I thought I couldn't say no to that. If I get the cover back in, we all know in rock, it's the first album with the Mark II lineup. Well, first studio album with the Mark II lineup. If you're getting the concerto for group and orchestra. Tracks on here: Speaking, Child in Time, Fright the Rat, Into the Fire. You got Bloodsucker as well. I missed out. Living Wreck, Hard Loving Man. Um, sort of like the, was the blue set the blue it was the blueprint that Purple would follow, certainly up to Stormbringer. Obviously, Sessions Black Knight was recorded, which was a #2 hit single for the band. It was a band who I think were all pushing towards the same goal. It was what Richie Blackmore wanted. They got the sound that they wanted. Ian Gillan, he got this monster vocalist. It just all fits into. It just fits. All the pieces fit together on this album. Absolute classic album. However, the Mark II lineup was fractious. Cracks were appearing, and really, by the time they got to this album, Who Do You Think We Are, the writing was very much on the wall. Relationships between Ian Gillan and Richie Blackmore, maybe management, certainly got to a point where Ian Gillan decided after recording, he said, "I'll do all commitments, but I'm going to leave." And Richie Blackmore at that time decided, well, he goes, we'll sack the bass player as well. And Roger Glover, unfortunately, was at the wrong place. I think Roger Glover said, Richie Blackmore said after the last concert, "Nothing personal, it's just business." And it does show in the album. I think it's not a patch, say, on the other three. Some good songs on here. Woman from Tokyo, Mary Long, and Our Lady, I think are great songs. But very much the group had come to the end of its course. And I think Ian Gillan quite probably said it was more management than anything. Management had allowed them to take a break after Machine Head and let them go off, just get, take a break from each other. I mean, we forget that in the time, 60s and 70s, literally, there were bands were, if they weren't touring, they were recording, they barely had time off. And I think, in those situations, you do end up getting sick of the sight of each other, and whatever tensions build, one day will explode. Obviously, it's not the last album the Mark II lineup ever recorded, because they came back together in '84 with Perfect Strangers, and what happened afterwards. But it's not a bad album. I'd still say it's up there with some of the better ones. Certainly, it compares with Burn, better than Stormbringer and Come Taste the Band. All right, another slurp. Billy Joel is an artist I do quite like, and this is his, I believe, his debut solo album, Coal Spring Harbour. Managed to pick some Billy Joel up in the cheap bins in my local shop, Psychotron, and it's, I think, very much at this point, he'd been in a band. I think it was a band called Attila, and that failed. And I think he decided just to try and go as a singer-songwriter, very much in the style of Harry Chapin. That's, I think, was a fan of, and whether it was deliberate or it's just one of those things when he first started out, the songs were. I mean, it's not a bad album. It's not, obviously it's not his best album, but there's a hint of promise to where to come. She's Got Away. Some really nice songs on this album. He followed it up with Piano Man, which became quite a success for him, particularly in the US, and I think it might have charted low, reached the UK chart. This is where he does sound very much like, particularly on the title track, like Harry Chapin. But yeah, you can see the promise is there. The songs are infinitely better than on Cold Spring Harbour. This is a really good album, actually. It's worth checking out if you see a copy of this. Sometimes people get maybe put off by the poppier vein. His 70s, Billy Joel's 70s stuff is always worth checking out. And the third of the Billy Joel album's got in the cheap bin, and this is because it's cover damage. It's Turnstiles, which came out in '76. Didn't do as well for him in the States. Didn't really chart at all. I think he had low reaches again, UK chart. New York State of Mind is probably best known track on this album. Things like Say Goodbye to Hollywood. I think for some reason this album never sort of picked up, resonated with the public. It all changed with the release of Stranger. The Stranger, the next album he released, which obviously had Just the Way You Are on it, and because a monster hit for him, and all things changed for Billy Joel at that point. And again in the £2 bit cheap bins, and that's partly because the previous owner had a cat. Pink Floyd's The Final Cut, which was released in 1983. The final Pink Floyd album to feature Roger Waters, and when I say feature, I mean this is pretty much could have been released as a Roger Waters solo album. Yes, Nick Mason and David Gilmour appeared on it. In fact, David Gilmour was so fed up at the time he asked for any sort of credits to be removed from it, apart from the fact he played on it. Dedicated to his late father, Eric Fletcher Waters, who died, I think, in Anzio, just as when he was a baby. So he never really got to know his father. Whether that was a sense of guilt there that he lived with. It's a very angry album. This comes back on the back, recorded in '82, on the back of the Falklands War. And I think if you know Roger Waters, he's not a fan of the right. He wasn't a fan of Thatcher's or Reagan, and I think quite a lot of the anger is shown in this album. Songs for me: Fletcher Memorial Home. You're one of the few. Fletcher Memorial Home. Not Now John was a single, that to clean it up, obviously, but it reached the top 30 in the UK. It's difficult because I can't really judge it against other Floyd albums, primarily because I don't think it is a Floyd album. It is a Roger Waters solo album, but it's not bad. Not bad. It's not the best. It's very patchy. I think if Roger Waters really had took a step back. It's very easy for me to say this and just let the others put an input in. I think it could have been a much more cohesive album. Picked this up for a couple of quid, and well, it's Flash Gordon, the Queen soundtrack. I wouldn't have normally paid. I wouldn't have been paying full whack for this. It is a soundtrack album, and what it is, it's just an album. It's just playing the music from the film, the scenes, relevant scenes. Got the Flash theme, which everyone, which was the hit single in the UK. The other great best track on it is The Hero, which ends it, which is the played at the end of the film. And I think during the '82 Hot Space tour, the Queen opened with that, with Flash, and then Freddie Mercury come on and sing Hero. £2 would all pay for this. It's as I say, it's a soundtrack album. It's not a proper Queen album. And final album I'm going to show you is Bruce Springsteen's Tunnel of Love, which released in 1987. This is a solo album. There's no E Street Band on this. Recorded really at a time where his marriage was failing. I can't remember. It's Julianne Phillips, I think, he married. Was an actress, and wanted to be better. It was seems a bit like a showbiz marriage, perfect showbiz marriage, and it just crumbled. And I think some of the angst in here comes out in some of the lyrics in here. Brilliantly disguised with this lead single. Great, my favourite track on the album. Got Tunnel of Love, Tougher Than the Rest, Walk Like a Man, When You're Alone. It's not one of his better albums, but it's actually not a bad album considering what was going on at the time. So there you go, VC. Those are the 10 albums I'm going to show you this week. So I hope everyone's well. I've been catching up on a few videos, particularly Richard McCook's videos. If you haven't checked his channel out, it's worth checking out. Great knowledge, great lists on breakdowns of artists and ranking videos. Probably the best ranking videos out there. Yes, so what's today going to bring to me? So I've been to the gym. I'm now going to go clean some records today and do some shopping. And that'll be it, I think. The countdown to Monday begins. So, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, click on the subscribe button. More subscribers, the better. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Love the interaction. And of course, if you feel free to comment, I'll always get back to you. So, VC, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the week that's coming ahead. Until next time, keep spinning. Take care of yourself. Keep spinning. More importantly, keep smiling.